Though we've broken our vows 1,000 times, 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 though we've come, come, whoever you are, wanderer, worshiper, lover of leaving, ours is no caravan of despair. Come yet again, come, join me. Come, come, whoever you are, wanderer, worshiper, lover of leaving, ours is no caravan of despair. Come yet again, come. Now we're going to do it in parts. This side. Come, come, whoever you are. This side. Come, come, whoever you are. Wanderer, come yet again, come. Come yet again, come. Come yet again, come.
Welcome to the Sunday morning worship service of DuPage Unitarian Universalist Church in Naperville, Illinois. I am Chris Cable, a member of your Board of Trustees. We are glad you are here. Whether you are present in this sanctuary this morning or watching remotely, it is good to be together. We welcome you to our church and invite you to get to know us better during and after the service. As Unitarian Universalists, we hold that there are many paths to truth and meaning, and we support one another in our spiritual and religious journeys while holding ourselves in covenant through our shared 7 principles. The mission of DuPage UU Church is to gather as an inclusive community, to grow in character, mind, and spirit, and to transform the world towards fairness, love, and compassion. Whoever you are, wherever you are on life's journey, wherever you are in the world, you are welcome here. And today, as most Sundays, we worship as a multi-generational community. Before we begin, quietly take a moment to be aware of those of us sharing this space. Let us recognize the hearts of our whole community, from our eldest to our youngest and all those in between. Let us embody the beauty of this all-church community, even when there are a few more wiggles, giggles, and chatter. If you feel a need to move to a quieter or less active space, feel free to do so. No harm, no foul. Let us remind ourselves to listen carefully and calm our minds. Begin by breathing peace and joy into this sacred space. As you are surrounded by the love of this community, all and all ages are welcome. And one special announcement, join us next week, Sunday, for our celebration and worship service to launch our Embrace the Future capital campaign. After the 10 a.m. service, we will be treated to a catered brunch, live music, and activities for all ages. Now, if you're online, I invite you to greet each other through the chat, and if you're present here, I invite you to turn to someone you did not come with and greet them with a wave and a good morning greeting.
I light this chalice today for our Second Unitarian Universalist principle. We believe in justice, equity, and compassion in human relations.
Good morning. The sun's out. Welcome to this place of love, of communal flourishing. We gather together to open our minds, expand our hearts, and to see the sacred within each other. Come, let us worship together.
Good morning. So, spirituals. They began with the chants and moans on the fields by enslaved Africans who were forced to sing as they worked or faced the whip or death. An enslaved African who wasn't singing was thought to be subversive or plotting an escape. Kumbaya. I want to mention that one of our beloved spirituals that receives blatant disrespect around the country is Kumbaya. It means come by here in the Gullah Geechee language. It's become a snarky shorthand for feel-good or weak-minded groupthink. It has become a disparaging remark about efforts to create harmony or unity. Originally, it was a soulful cry sung by the Georgia Sea Island slaves. The song was carried on by Southern blacks in the time of Jim Crow and lynch mobs, and later by the Freedom Riders when they learned 3 of their workers had been murdered by Klansmen. So when people say, oh yeah, they wanted to hold hands in a circle and have a kumbaya moment, it clearly was not a kumbaya moment. Kumbaya, come by here. The words on the screen may or may not be what you hear, so you don't have to look in your hymnal, just join in. I will sing first, and I will help you. Come by here, my Lord. Come by here. Come by here, my Lord. Come by here. Come by here. Join me, come by here. Come by here, my Lord. Come by here. Come by here, my Lord, please. Come by here. Ooh, come by here, my Lord. Ooh, come by here. Ooh, Lord. Oh, Lord. Come by here. Someone's crying, Lord. Come by here. Someone's crying, Lord. Ooh, come by here. Someone's praying, Lord, come by here. Someone's praying, Lord, please come by here. Ooh, someone's praying, oh, they're praying, Lord, come by here. Oh, Lord, come by here. Someone's laughing, Lord, come by here. Someone's laughing, Lord, come by here. Someone's laughing, Lord, come by here. Oh, Lord, come by here. Come by here one last time. Come by here, my Lord. Come by here. Come by here, my Lord, please. Come by here. Ooh. Come by here. Come, oh Lord, come by here.
Our vision of beloved community is rooted in the relationships we have with each other, our world, and creation. Each week, we offer the opportunity to share our joys and concerns. Today's flowers were given by Jan Mulqueeny in honor of her daughter-in-law, Laura Kuber's birthday. Happy birthday, Laura. And in memory of her mother-in-law, Arlene and Colleen. For the second year, at least in a row, the Pastoral Ministries Associates would love to send love to this congregation in the month of love. They share this dedication to you all. Sometimes all you need is for someone to just be there, even if they cannot solve your problems. Just knowing there is someone who cares and who you can trust can make all the difference in the world. If you are a member of our Pastoral Ministries Associates, would you please rise so that you may be identified for our congregants? Thank you all for the ministry that you do to care for this congregation. And after the service, they will be handing out special treats of love for you all. The loss of life and violence in Palestine and Israel continues to grow. I encourage you to contact your representative if that feels right to you, to call for a ceasefire so that peace and a path forward might be determined. Whether our cares and concerns are spoken here aloud or remain in your heart, this community cares for one another. We hold you in love. Please join me for a moment of silence.
Good morning again. Can you hear me? As the choir comes up, I just wanted to say that I'm very excited to share with you a piece that I actually wrote, and it's the first piece that I've ever written, except when I was in college, and they made you write stuff that you didn't like. So in 2015, there was a rash of arson burning our black churches in the South, and it caused great anxiety for me. And I could not stop thinking about it. I couldn't sleep very well. And one morning I woke up and the first part of the song was fully formed. So I got my phone and put it on memo and said, right, because I was asleep. And then it took me until 2022 to actually share it with anyone. So we have a guest soloist here today, Aisha Ellis, a member of Unity Temple, Unitarian Universalist congregation, and she has been a member since 2007. So welcome, Aisha, and thank you for your grace. Hold it? I don't know what I asked. I'll hold it. Yeah. You wanna hold it? Sure. I said, do you want to hold it? Sure.
Out of the chaos, we march for our rights. Cowards burn our churches in dead of night. Death, despair, and racism try to hold us powerless, but the fire fuels our fight. Out of the chaos, we march for our rights. Cowards burn our churches in dead of night. Death, despair, and racism try to hold
It is time to gather. My story today is titled Follow the Drinking Gourd by Jeanette Winter. And Amanda is going to help me in telling the story too. The drinking gourd was used by slaves as a code for the Big Dipper. And the Big Dipper is a group of stars whose bowl points to another group of stars called the Little Dipper. And the Little Dipper contains the North Star, which got its name because it is always above the North Pole. For slaves, north meant freedom, and that is the star they followed to escape. Long ago, before the Civil War, there was an old sailor, Peg-Leg Joe, who did what he could to help free the slaves. Joe had a plan, and he used a hammer and nail and saw and work for the master, the man who owned slaves on the cotton plantation. Joe had a plan. At night, when work was done, he'd teach the slaves a song that secretly told the way to freedom. Just follow the drinking gourd, it said. When the song was learned and sung all day, Peg-Leg Joe would slip away to work for another master and teach the song again. One day, a slave called Molly saw her man James sold to another master. James would be taken away, their family torn apart. Just one more night together. A quail called in the trees that night. Molly and James remembered Joe's song, and they sang it low.
Follow the drinking gourd. Follow the drinking gourd. For the old man is awaiting toward to carry you to freedom. If you follow the drinking gourd. When the sun comes back and the first quail calls, follow the drinking gourd. For the old man is waiting for to carry you to freedom. If you follow the drinking gourd.
They looked to the sky and saw the stars. Taking their son Isaiah, old Hattie, and her grandson George, Molly and James set out for freedom that very night, following the stars of the drinking gourd. They ran all night through the fields till they crossed the stream to the woods. When daylight came, they hid in the trees, watching, listening for their master's hounds set loose to find them. But the dogs lost the runaways' scent at the stream, and Molly and James and Isaiah, old Hattie and young George were not found. They hid all day in the woods. At night, they walked again, singing Joe's song and looking for the signs that marked the trail.
The riverbank makes a very good road. The dead trees will show you the way. Left foot, peg foot, traveling on. Follow the drinking gourd.
Walking by night, sleeping by day, for weeks they traveled on. Sometimes berries to pick and corn to snatch, sometimes fish to catch. Sometimes empty bellies to sleep on. Sometimes no stars to guide the way. They never knew what lay ahead. There was danger from men who would send them back, and danger from hungry beasts. But sometimes a kind deed was done. One day, as they hid in a thicket, a boy from a farm found them, and in a bag of feed for the hogs in the wood, he brought bacon and cornbread to share. Singing low, they traveled on.
The river ends between two hills. Follow the drinking gourd. There's another river on the other side. Follow the drinking gourd.
On and on they followed the trail to the river's end. From the top of the hill they saw the new path, another river beneath the stars to lead them to Freedom Land. The drinking gourd led them on. The song was almost done.
When the great big river meets the little river, follow the drinking gourd, for the old man is waiting for to carry you to freedom if you follow the drinking gourd.
Then they climbed the last hill. Down below was Peg-Leg Joe, waiting at the wide Ohio River to carry them across. Their spirits rose when they saw the old man, and Molly and James and Isaiah, old Hattie and George ran to the shore. Under a starry sky, Joe rowed them across the wide Ohio River, and he told them of hiding places where they would be safe. A path of houses stretched like a train on a secret track leading north to Canada, and he called it the Underground Railroad. It carried riders to freedom. The first safe house stood on the hill. The lamp was lit, which meant it was safe to come. Ragged and weary, they waited while Joe signaled low with a hoot like an owl. Then the door opened wide to welcome the freedom travelers. They were rushed through the house to the barn, for the farmers knew there were slave catchers near. A trap door in the floor took them under the barn to hide till it was safe to move on. And then Peg-Leg Joe went back to the river to meet others who followed the drinking gourd. With danger still near, too close for ease, the farmer sent the 5 travelers on, and he drew a map that showed the way north on the midnight road to the next safe house, just over 2 hills. This time, James called the signal, a hoot like an owl, that opened the door to a Quaker farm, and the travelers were led to a secret room hidden behind shelves. And they rested here for many days and healed their wounds. Soft beds, full meals, new clothes, hot baths washed away some fear and pain. Isaiah smiled. When they were strong, they traveled again from house to house on the underground trail, still following the drinking gourd north. Sometimes they traveled on foot, sometimes by cart. The wagon they rode near their journey's end carried fruit to market and the runaways to freedom. At last, they came to the shores of Lake Erie. Molly and James and Isaiah, old Hattie and young George climbed aboard the steamship that would carry them across to Canada, to freedom. 5 more souls are safe, old Hattie cried, and the sun shone bright when they stepped on land. They had followed the drinking gourd.
Good morning. Giving of our treasure is how we reciprocate the many gifts we are given by this community. Your contribution supports the programs and the operations of DuPage Unitarian Universalist Church. Giving is also how we live our values in the world. Each month, we share our offerings with an organization that is nominated by this congregation and selected by our special offerings team. In February, the special collection will benefit the Tom Galloway Scholarship Fund at the College of DuPage. Tom Galloway was the first African-American president of DUUC, and actually a friend of mine. And this scholarship supports African-American students at the College of DuPage over in Glen Ellen. The DUC Special Collection pays about a third of the annual tuition for the scholarship recipient and can also be used to obtain access to computers, purchase textbooks, or help with living expenses. DUC has been supporting this cause for over 20 years. So this morning's offering to support the work of DuPage Unitarian Universalist Church and of the Tom Galloway Scholarship Fund is given and received in a spirit of generosity and gratitude.
I get by with a little help from my friends. we just read some spirituals are code songs, like the one we just did, and Follow the Drinking Gourd. Also, Let Us Break Bread Together, and now Wade in the Water. This is a coded song that told slaves how to throw the dogs off their scents as they were trying to escape. Troubling the water alludes to a biblical passage from the 4th chapter of John. It speaks of an angel coming down and making a pool into a healing body of water. But what that really means to believers is that God will take care of you here on earth. The song Wade in the Water, the spiritual Wade in the Water, mentions Moses, which is code for Harriet Tubman. I've heard folks sing this as a really happy-go-lucky song, but it isn't. So please let us sing it like the slaves would as they were working from sunup until sundown in the hot fields. Try to sing it with a sad glimmer of hope that things will be okay. That is the story of spirituals, after all. I'll sing first. Wade in the water, wade in the water, children, wade in the water. God's gonna trouble the water. Join me. Wade in the water. In the water, children, wade in the water. God's gonna trouble the water. Now me, see that band all dressed in white. God's the leader looks like an Israelite. Give me some harmony. Wade in the water. Wade in the water, children, wade in the water. God's gonna trouble
I have experienced the soul-crushing pain of what it means to be human in this world, and I'm sure that many of you have as well. The pain of hurt, the pain of grief, the pain that just seems to grip your soul, seizing relentlessly. To exist comes along with letting go of people and things we love. To exist means that sometimes in our fallible humanness, we are hurt or harmed. Pain is a normal part of existence, even when the pain itself is not normal. That is, the pain of grief is a natural part of living. The pain of hurt and harm is not natural, but it's not unexpected as we live our lives. But there is a pain that is so overwhelming, so unnatural, so complete in its entirety that words cannot describe it. It's the pain of systematic oppression, and more specifically, the pain of racism. The pain of knowing that your whole being is unwanted, unworthy, and usable for other people's gain by economic systems. This is a pain that is foreign to the experience of a white person. This is a pain that I cannot and frankly do not ever want to experience as a white person. It's a pain that I only ever get glimpses of because it's beyond my personal experience. I know pain, but this kind of pain is beyond my knowledge, and it's all-consuming horror. This is the pain that is supported by economic gain, bias, laws, and genocide. This is the pain that lasts generations. Where does that all-consuming pain go when there seems to be no outlet? When pain is rooted in how others see and view one's very existence? In the same way that my words today are so very, very inadequate to convey all I really wish to say about the pain of oppression, I suspect that those who created the spirituals that we have sung and heard today found words inadequate for the task as well. Where does the pain go? Well, it goes to music. African American spirituals were approved by the white slave master. The songs with their rhythms and the focus beyond the chattel slavery task kept minds as well as bodies busy. Yet for enslaved peoples, these spirituals were a resistance. The songs released the soul-crumbling torture and overwhelming emotion of their lives, their very existence. The songs were a resistance to dehumanization and the act of reclaiming humanity, the resistance of hope. Hope is, after all, not a passive thing that we can expect to come our way someday. Hope is an intentional act that we choose to engage in, we choose to believe in. For enslaved peoples, the spirituals they offered were an act of hope for better times and places, even if that meant the afterlife. Many enslaved folks, and likely even more white people, believed that with the Civil War and the Emancipation Proclamation that their hope had come to fruition with the end of the practice of chattel slavery. So very many opportunities were opened between the 19th and 20th century for Black folks: education, college, the arts. Yet how deeply disappointing to find that slavery had simply turned to another vicious form through Jim Crow laws, lynchings, and mob-enforced violence. These spirituals continued to offer the same outlets and resistance in this new age of oppression. And they would continue to do so well into the mid-20th century during the Civil Rights Movement, as Martin Luther King Jr. led a movement for liberation. Songs a century old not only still spoke the truth of a people, but through the musical embodiment of a people's pain, rooted the movement in an active resistance of hope. I was taught parts of this story as a child. The narrative that I was given was that all this pain, all this struggle ended with Martin Luther King Jr. and the civil rights movement, that racism was over, that white supremacy was a Ku Klux Klan thing, that black people were equal, and this story is one that I still encounter in many conversations with white people all the time, most especially with those who also rose up in solidarity during the 1960s. Racism has ended. What happens when racism and oppression becomes invisible to everyone but the people who experience it? When microaggressions and shootings of perceived criminals become normalized, even welcomed? What happens when your experience as a person of color is denied by the white folks you encounter in a community you have claimed your own? Maybe a community like a church. What happens to a person of color or another marginalized identity when a white person reacts in defensiveness and fragility rather than curiosity or self-examination, when their actions or words are called out as supremacist? What happens? The music happens. How else can one free one's soul from the crushing weight of empire? While the circumstances change, the pain remains, yet the legacy is there. Ancestors who left the seeds of hope for future generations. The music is an intentional act of hope for liberation, for freedom. Spirituals are an entire people's strength and resilience for a pain that is unspeakable. They are music with hope woven into every word, note, and beat. My family never owned slaves. I am third generation, meaning that my family only ever bought land from other white people, never taking it directly from Native folks. I am married to a person of color with multiracial children. My closest and dearest friends are people of color. This must mean, of course, that I am not a racist, that I do not engage in acts of white supremacy. Of course, that supremacy being the KKK. And all of these assumptions would be wrong. I am a racist. I am complicit in the large systems that are skewed to demoralize and punish those without privilege. Every day I have thoughts or actions that are so ingrained within my being, it's almost as if they are a part of my DNA. Racism is built into my thinking in unconscious ways. It is the daily assumptions that we make about people. Supremacy is insidious. Oppression, such as racism, sexism, white privilege, looks like assuming an unhoused person must be lazy, have a mental health issue, were in the military, or had a difficult upbringing. It looks like assuming a Latinx person is from Mexico, that they are friends with every other Latinx person, that they are Catholic, that they come from a large family, and that they like spicy food. It looks like asking a person of color when they came to America. It is commenting on a woman's appearance, assuming she is not in a position of leadership or that she wants children. It's assuming someone's gender or ability just by looking at them. This is what supremacy looks like. It's insidious and mostly invisible, typically unconscious, and so very, very harmful. And I do it every day. I must consciously be aware of myself, so I shift all of those perceptions and assumptions. I must be vigilant so that I do not cause another person harm through these acts of supremacy. Chattel slavery may be a thing of the past, though the prison system is a close replication. Most of us have our basic civil rights, though Roe v. Wade needs to be returned. Voting rights are still not available to all. The ability to own a driver's license is not equitable, and many rights continue to be threatened, especially those of transgender and gender-expansive folks. Oppression may no longer be quite as brazen and blatant if you are not experiencing it, but it is still everywhere, all the time. For those of us who hold privilege, our act of hopeful resistance is found in the ways that we can daily examine our assumptions and actions through a lens of curiosity. Our act of resistance to liberate ourselves from the ingrained supremacy of our lives is to listen to this music. Listen to the pain of generations without defensiveness, seeking to understand. It is our responsibility to break the cycle of pain, to offer hope for our future by embracing the pain of our companions on this life's journey without centering our fragility and denial and owning our complicitness in the systems of oppression. This is what it means to liberate ourselves as people with privilege. And it's a journey we are not on alone. We do this together, finding strength, accountability, and even salvation through liberation together. When we are invited to sit at the welcome table, like the song says, let us remember that the journey to the table is longer, harder, and more painful for some. Let us remember to listen to the stories of those journeys, the pain, the triumph, and the resistance. To just listen. May we sit at the welcome table together.
Please rise in body and or spirit and join me in singing. We're going to sit at the welcome table. The words are on the screen. We're going to sit at the welcome table. We're going to sit at the welcome table one of these days. Hallelujah. We're going to sit at the welcome table. Going to sit at the welcome table one of these days. All kinds of people around that table. No fancy style at the welcome table. Yes, yes, yes.
Beloveds, let us remember that the welcome table is open to all, but that means work for some of us to make the table greater and larger. Let us welcome all to our table here and into all of the tables in all of our lives. May it be so.
Please join in our final hymn, I'm on my way. You may rise or sit or whatever you want. I'm on my way, a little more, to the freedom land. I'm on my way to the freedom land. I'm on my way Come and go with me. I asked my sibling. Come and go with me. I asked my sibling. Come and go with me. I'm on my way. Thank God. If they say no, I'll go anyhow. I'll go anyhow. If they say no, I'll go anyhow. If they say no, I'll go anyhow. I'm on my way and I won't turn back. And I won't turn back. I'm on my way and I won't turn back. I'm on my way and I won't turn back. I'm on my way. Thank God I'm on my way. Yes, thank you. Blessed be.